We are live. We are live.
Intro.
We are live.
Intro. I don't have like we Wait, you're going to do that for 3 seconds before we get tagged.
That's true. No copyrighted music, folks. No copyrighted
3
music.
seconds for reference, and that's it.
Yep. So as we wait for people to hop in, hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey, try to calm down. Ben, you're
I'm pumped, ready to go. Got to get my phone out of my pocket for when my mom calls me and says, "I can see you on TV, son."
You know what? That's true. I give it about 5 minutes before my mom goes, "Hey,
Yep.
check it out! I found you on the YouTubes."
We got Daniel Grove. Can you see that? Okay. I mean,
I can see that.
okay. How about Gary? Gary, can you see the chat?
No.
God
Yeah,
damn
I
it.
can. Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sweet.
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 Sad trombone. Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Touche.
I love the musical, the audio production here. The music is great. I love this.
Yeah, that's right.
Hence, we can only do 3 seconds. Otherwise,
That's
I
right.
clearly get tagged.
Yep. No DJ in the background hitting us with the ones and twos. It's just us.
Well, for posterity, should we introduce?
I mean, we'll introduce ourselves, but does it say how many people we got watching yet?
We got like 500. I can
500?
clearly
Yes.
see 501.
All
people
right,
watching
I
us
dig
right
that. I'm going to go look on YouTube just to make sure we're good. Because you never know.
I mean, I know. Let's see.
Hey, I see us. Look at that,
Oh,
folks. We're live. We're live.
Sick, bro. So meta.
Yep. So anyway,
What are we doing here?
we're hanging out with Gary.
It's true.
What's up?
You know what's up is I sat down because Ben here is the one who went and did the little socially distanced swappy swap, and I sat down and just put it out there. You guys should be trying to get me drunk.
It's true. Always trying to get everybody drunk.
I mean, it's not any better than our beer festival where we're sending people like 10%, 8% beers. There's 9 of them, and if you get the cool ticket,
Yep.
yeah, it's it's pretty darn crazy. Do we want to go through what we're drinking?
I mean, Gary, let the people
Do it.
know.
Let's do
man.
this. Let's do this. Before I get into it, for anyone, I don't know if it's going live on my channel. I don't even know how to check. But for the recorded version, if it gets put anywhere, I want to know who you guys are. Like, tell the people, introduce yourselves. I want to know who you're at.
All right, we got this. Ben, you keep checking his
I'm
screen.
going to make sure Gary's live, but
I got this. Teamwork, baby. Teamwork.
yeah.
That's how this
love
all
it.
happened.
Nice.
We are Last Straw Beer Festival. We are the co-hosts, co-owners, co-producers, co-everything. My name's Casey. This is Ben. Our backstory is pretty simple. We love craft beer, and we met at our local watering hole, Bottle Logic, which hashtag spoiler alert.
Yes.
We met drinking craft beer. We actually he does a lot of their special events for them, lighting and all the sound and blah blah blah. My wife does floral arrangements for them. So we met through that mutual love of craft beer in this one local spot. And then COVID. And for sure, we were like, man, it lasted, I think it took us all of like 6 weeks when we were like, this blows. Like we miss seeing people. We miss, because craft beer in my mind one, it's meant to be shared. And 2, it brings people together. Hence, it's meant to be shared. And so that's how we kind of got started. It was just the baseline friendship turned into let's try to continue, because obviously everybody's hurting. All businesses are. We know how that is. And we thought maybe this is a way that we can boost everybody up, bring people together for craft beer, and maybe increase sales and get the word out there. Hey, craft beer people need help too. So That's us, Ben and Casey.
That's awesome.
Two dudes drinking craft
love
beer.
that. I mean, I think when the whole pandemic hit, we saw actual like in-person event producers try to pivot their model to the virtual only thing. And yeah, kind of seeing you guys pop up, and I just wasn't sure where it came from, if you guys were doing something in person already, or if this like just kind of got born. And so it's just cool to see it, like, yeah, it just was created out of nowhere, out of this. And you know, like it's just neat to get to see you guys kind of just hit the ground running, because you know, throwing events, producing events is not an easy task, and you know, switching to virtual has its own challenges as well. So seeing what you guys were doing just kind of caught my attention personally. And I guess for anyone that's on the live stream from your guys' side, doesn't know who I am, I'll just intro myself real quick. My name is Gary. I am the founder of Hopped LA. We are a local beer advocacy platform. We are a website. We're a media company. We produce merchandise and different beer experience products to help people discover and experience local, specifically Los Angeles County craft beer in deeper and better ways. So yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell. And I kind of am a one-man show with like a little bit of help here and there, but you know, I'm kind of jealous right now because we have all these big beers that we're about to introduce, and you have multiple people on your end to help you get through it. I'm rolling solo. So, I mean, I'm fearing for my life at this point in time.
Yeah, this is our cheat code for the events, because I don't think if we were to try to host it and drink it all, I don't think we'd make it through the whole event by the end, you know, especially when we hit those like 8+ ABV speed bumps and you're trying to drink along with people and like keep up.
Yeah.
Because it goes fast. I mean, it's normally about 3 hours. It goes back so quick, and you're like, you'd be schmammered if you tried to handle it all by your own.
I've definitely had, we get feedback. It's funny because we get feedback from people, and the first thing when we're live, people are like, let's crack that beer. Let's crack that beer. Let's crack that beer. But then by the end of it, they're just kind of like quiet. I'm like, oh, okay, see? Because they want to sprint. No, this is a marathon.
Yeah, smart. It definitely takes practice. Well, with that in mind, let's intro what we're drinking. Let's kind of do back and forth type of thing. So I'll kick off beer number 1. This is our lowest ABV beer of the night, and it's sitting at 8.3%.
Oh, dark. That's a bad idea. Yes, there we go. The man
Tarantula
with the
Hill.
and the cam.
Tarantula Hill collab with Mumford. Both really great breweries. Tarantula Hill sitting in Thousand Oaks, just over the LA County line, and collabing with Mumford, located in DTLA. And yeah, double hazy IPA. Both of them kill it at that style, so I'm excited to try this one.
Sick. I know. While you guys pour that, I at our last beer festival we had Smog City, and I apparently I'm used to living behind the orange curtain that is Orange County. I didn't realize hashtag the struggle that breweries are going through up there in LA County.
Yeah, specifically in LA County.
Specifically LA County, because it's ooh.
Oh, it smells great.
Yeah, it does. Got to show off that last drop glassware.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
All together drinking from the same glassware.
Ooh,
That's the
that
OG
nose
glass.
is awesome.
Yeah, this is our original taster glass, and essentially from the first festival, we knew we wanted to have taster glasses, like real, not plastic ones. And we've only done a taster size for the first one. The rest of them are all full size at this point. So,
We
like,
might have to go back to that at some point.
maybe
To these, I like these.
So, like for Oktoberfest, everybody got a full 20-ounce Stein for all the giant lagers that they're getting. And then for this next one, we have a Craftmaster IPA style glass. It's kind of got the bowl on the top, but with the tapered bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be really cool. I don't actually own any of those glasses, so I'm kind of excited to keep one for myself because I've got a lot of glassware off camera right here.
It's all sitting right
But none of those like IPA style glasses. So, cheers, you guys.
Cheers.
Oh, it smells amazing. Yes.
Clink it. Oh, we didn't say clink,
Clink it and drink it.
Drink it.
Clink,
Yep.
clink, clink.
Oh man, that's got lots of that green grass kind of right up front.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
A little melony.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So for anyone that follows me, I am on the Strata hype train right now. So any beer with Strata in it, I'm just like all about. I love what it's bringing to this beer in particular. Really nice, like you mentioned, the kind of green grassiness. It's got an awesome strawberry character to it, which I really, really love.
It's got cashmere too.
Yeah.
Oh
Got
God, that's my
cashmere,
favorite
baby.
hop in the world.
Yeah, this is a great blend.
I love cashmere. I love the kind of passion fruity tropical note that cashmere inherently kind of like lends to a lot of the beer. And it's really funny because it was before this year really uncommon. Like it was an older hop that they kind of like stopped using, but people are starting to use it again, which is making me happy because I love that kind of passion fruity, really floral kind of note that it brings. So, yep.
Yeah, it's really nice in this beer. It's actually really complimentary, because Nelson tends to go like really dank. It's got some bitterness on it. It's got that kind of like earthy blueberry, and what Cashmere's bringing kind of brightens up the flavor profile in a really cool way.
Is anybody else drinking anything out there? I'd love to see it. Comments. We got a cheers from Sandy.
I told you it'd take all of 5 minutes for my mom to get on here. Yeah.
Sandy. That's delicious.
Oh man, that's really good.
I really like the body on this beer too. Yeah, Pilsner malt keeps it really, really light, and then the oats just give it that really nice creaminess, the head retention, the body that you're looking for in a hazy.
Oh, our off-camera camera operator wants a tasty too.
We got one of the gens here. So what Gary might not know is that our behind the scenes, and less so soon enough, our behind the scenes workers are both named Jen, my wife and his wife.
Nice.
So
makes it easy.
Your mom says that I need to behave.
We'll see about that. I don't know. So we do have some help drinking these beers. Like you said, it's gonna
Sorry,
be rough
Gary.
on your end. It's gonna be rough
Sorry,
on your
Gary.
end. But hey, it's cool. We can handle this. We can handle this.
We'll make it through the night.
Man, that's just
If it starts dragging on, we'll just keep going with it.
really nice. Actually, maybe I'm crazy, but I like this. Is it small bubbles?
Yeah, kind of tiny bubbles, not
feel like
overly
it's-
carbonated where it
Yeah.
wants to make you feel like you're drinking like a LaCroix or something. It's got the
Man,
It's got a lightness and a brightness that I think what you're talking about there. Like a lot of these hazies can be really chewy, really soft, and just almost overly sticky and kind of like thick. And this has like a really nice bright feel on the mouth.
totally.
And what was the ABV on this?
Freaking 8.3.
Yeah. Okay. See, and I don't get any of that alcohol, any of that. It's super like if you wanted to get an IPA hazy style that was easy to drink, but really puts hair on your chest without you realizing it, this would be that beer. Because I feel like I could probably do a 4-pack of these by myself, but I would probably pass out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Sad to say, but I wouldn't know it. That's the thing. Like it's like when you have a nice cocktail, you don't taste that alcohol in it.
Yeah.
When you've got the nice IPAs that know how to blend the tropical notes and the malt. Because I don't think we talked about too much besides like the Pilsner malt. That this ends with a really clean malty kind of like I don't want to say corny, but
Oh snap! Look at that. Freaking
definitely.
Daniel's drinking that scatter signal. That's a heavy beer. I still haven't tried that.
Whoa, Daniel, good luck, because that's a killer beer.
That's in the teens for sure.
Yeah. I think Scatter Signal was one of Bottle Logic's best releases in the last 6 months.
In 2020? Or
Yeah, in the last 6 months, I
months?
think. Yeah.
well,
Have you had that one, Gary?
I haven't. I honestly haven't had too much from Bottle Logic, especially in the last few years since, like, in my early craft beer days when there weren't as many LA breweries, Bottle Logic
Yeah.
was all around and I was all about it. But it's just become so busy up here that I barely get to have any Bottle Logic. So I'm really excited to crack this one open.
Sweet.
we were definitely not talking before this. This is the only time we've ever talked, but we were definitely talking about the fact that we were discussing like what beers should we swap, and we said FO. I didn't realize it was going to be an 18.
Yeah, I dug into my cellar a little bit.
This is going to drink beautifully. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
this
feel
is
like
gonna
we
be a
had,
good one.
maybe it was just me at home, but I thought we had one of these not too long ago.
Here or where?
Somewhere. Maybe I'm crazy.
I don't know, but I know the 18 is tasting
Yeah.
bellissimo right now.
Nice. Super excited.
I really want to get see, as we call it, POCO, post-COVID. When we get POCO, I got a whole vertical of FO that I really want to like crack into.
What year do you have it starting at? From original?
Yeah, from OG, bro.
2015?
Yeah.
My butt's sliding
No,
off this chair.
Wait,
It's all
yeah,
good.
15.
15,
No,
six-
15.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Whew. That's going to be a
And
fun
I
night.
can't talk about like having like needing help. Like,
Yeah.
Gary, you need help tonight, let alone if we were drinking 6 of those bad boys.
Right?
Daniel says it's possible that we drank one, but also Casey's crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
Good times. Gary, I will say, similar to what you were saying, how the beer scene in LA has exploded, like totally has, because I don't know half the breweries that are in LA anymore, and it's
Right.
disturbing to me because I feel like
In the best way
you're
possible.
constantly playing catch up with like who's awesome, who's doing really cool things, who's doing noteworthy things, and a lot of the big dogs like Monkish are still kind of like hanging on, but there are people coming up on, the Monkish and who else is big in the LA area. I mean, I don't even know anymore, but like there are breweries that are going to be giving Monkish and their haze game a run for their money, like
Yeah.
if not already, like very soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you think about the LA beer scene, and I guess any beer scene in general, but LA, I think, is unique because of the geographical expanse. You have these pockets of hotspots, and Torrance, where Monkish is located, and Smog City is located down the street from there, used to be kind of like the craft beer capital of LA County. It's nearby LAX. It kind of was one of those things. If you're a beer nerd, you're going and spending some time in Torrance. While Torrance is still cool, there are some other areas in LA that have really kind of picked up in a much bigger way. And so, when you talk about Monkish, they do get a lot of the mind share and a lot of the attention in the overall craft beer scene. But I think that they're just kind of like in a tier all their own. Not like they're so much better than everybody else, but the thing that drives Monkish is, I mean, it's great beer, right? But like, it's the thing that drives it is the value on the trade and secondary markets. And that's why they have the lines, because people can flip it for money, can flip it for other beer. It's a great beer, and a lot of their hazies are really good, but there's a lot of sameness there. They have a lot more ability to do
Mosaic, Citra Mosaic,
Yeah.
Citra Mosaic, Citra Mosaic.
This one's got Galaxy. Wow. Not to knock, I don't want to knock them at all, but I just want to put it into context
they
a little bit.
They have got that down. Like,
Yeah.
what you're getting from Monkish,
Yeah.
regardless of, what release it is. The question is now, is it a double IPA? Is it a triple IPA? Because that they're all going to be amazing. It's just like, what are you looking for from them? Do you want that big, resinous kind of over the top, or are you looking for something that's a little bit easier to drink in a double? So I think that's kind of like what they've got going on.
They made a really good sour that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was called was it Lost Cat? Lost, yeah. No, found something about a cat. Now I totally forgot. But it was one of those things where I had seen on their socials. They're like, oh, we've only got 500 bottles, and I was like, but it sounds so good, and I ended up getting one, and it was. I got two, and I drank one, and I was like, I don't want to drink this other one. It's so tasty.
Yeah, the sours and the Belgian stuff are the heart of their program. The barrel aged things that just fly under the radar. They don't sell out in 2 hours. So they kind of get underrated a little bit. So like Monkish is great. I spend a lot of my time focusing on a lot of other breweries. Just because Monkish is doing their thing, and their beer to people like myself who don't want to play the refresh game or the line game, and to a lot of the people that we interact with, a lot of the Hop LA audience tends to be like early to mid stage craft beer drinkers, where dealing with the hype game, like some people get in that way and a lot of people don't. And so when we're thinking about breweries that have an offering that's a little bit more diverse, that has more than just IPA, that has more than just hazy, that's where I think there's a lot of breweries that are, like Beechwood, I think has continued to maintain their stronghold as a top LA brewery with what they're doing across sours, hoppy, barrel aged, clean beer. Just everything is just so good. And guys like Highland Park, I'd say are killing it across so many of those styles as well. So those are the guys that I tend to like really shine a spotlight on at like the very top of the list. But you guys are totally right in that there's some upstarts, some smaller guys that are like super under the radar to people that aren't really paying attention to the LA scene. I maintain a list that's like the top 10, and that's like my own personal top 10 of who I think is doing really, really good. And there's guys like Ogo Pogo and San Gabriel who I think are killing it, have won a couple of medals at GABF. I think Aerolodge does a really, really good job, who we're going to be drinking a beer from today. A big one on my list, big favorite of mine, is 14 Cannons up in Westlake Village, just the very last neighborhood before you exit Los Angeles County off the 101. So yeah, there's just such cool stuff going on in LA. And I've kind of made it my mission to try and shine the spotlight on everything that they're doing on a week-to-week basis. Like I'm, weekly beer releases, and really just trying to keep up on like who's opening, who's closing, what are they putting out, what's interesting, and then just rinse and repeat every single week. Like there's always something new.
Nice.
I mean, it's like being on a treadmill. You're never going to run out of like the new thing. The only thing that's going to happen is that you're going to get like out of breath and be like, oh crap, I got to like start running more because there's going to be more than I can handle at some point.
Right.
But which is awesome, especially during a pandemic like this, when you're like, so many things are struggling.
Yeah.
The fact that, you and we can kind of like shine lights on the ones that we feel like are doing things right, are paying attention, are still putting out, above average to excellent quality beer.
Yep.
I mean, that's literally like the whole point of what we're doing right now is just we love craft beer enough that we are putting our own money into putting on these events and hardly breaking even just in order to promote and kind of have fun while we're doing it.
Yeah.
And if after COVID ends and we can put on a kick-ass beer festival with all the 40 breweries that we've worked with through the time that we've done a couple virtual festivals, that would be like my ultimate goal, is just like, say we have it, I don't know where, but have everybody come and like do a real beer festival, like out in the world. The problem is, I work in the event entertainment industry. So does Casey. And I keep seeing things like virtual events aren't going away. Live events are going to keep on being like a small thing. So what we're doing right now is trying to do our best to, put together a high quality, well-run, smoothly operating event that people can be like, hey, I know if I go to a Last Drop festival, It's going to be good beer. I'm not going to have the stream crash halfway through. The quality of the video is going to be good. The quality audio is going to be good. It's not going to be something that I'm like killing myself because I hate it so much. And that's kind of where we started too, is that we did some online beer festivals where it was like a Zoom meeting. And it's like, okay, cool, I get what you're going with, but it's literally people either on their phone, on a laptop. The audio quality's bad. The video quality's bad.
It's so hard because people want to participate and do things,
right,
and pivot. Like that's the one thing we've seen. I think the craft beer industry, for the most part, has done a great job pivoting to virtual stuff and doing to go. Starting like
shipping. Like the fact that you can ship stuff now is much more easily. That made me so excited because like at the beginning of quarantine, one of the boards I'm on Facebook, somebody made a list of all the breweries in California that are shipping now. So like Humble Sea, who I love, like before all this was happening, it was hard to get their beer, and now.
Sorry, I'm reading the.
What? Falling Star Beer Event, yes.
Beer event.
Like Humble Sea, you can ship their beer from Santa Cruz and get it next day, and it's like awesome. And for a long time, you couldn't even find it in the shops around here, and even now you can. Like a lot of the craft beer shops are carrying them, and it's awesome to see that the lack of in-person sales has allowed them to distribute, which I totally understand is probably a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But it really has secondary benefits to all of us that don't live right near that brewery and can be like, oh crap, hey, look, Fieldwork is down here now. Oh, cool, Humble Sea. I'm gonna keep saying Humble Sea. Humble Sea.
Huge fan.
Yeah. I joined their stupid beer lover club, so fanboy.
I know you don't mean stupid when you say stupid.
I mean, I know it's the stupid good.
The stupid good. So that stupid thing where they send me beer.
And it's wonderful, and I hate it. Jen's over there laughing for us, for our audience. So I got 2 good laughs out of there. We're good. So I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. Like, how do you approach when you're talking to a new brewery that's coming out and saying, hey, what can I do to help you guys, either get more exposure or talk about your beer? Like some of them, for us, it's hard to get them to respond, and then we're new, so the brand is not huge for them, and they don't necessarily know what we're doing is quality unless they've actually participated in one of our events. So like, I don't know how it feels for you, but I mean, I'd love to hear your perspective on how that's worked out for you. I mean, you've probably been doing this longer, like, on social media and, online and like talking and doing other fun things with breweries. Like, how has it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. In the beginning days, I was asking a lot of those questions and being like, how can I help? Like, we can do a couple posts on our Instagram, but like, what is really going to make an impact here? And, it took a while for me to really understand the market and what, how consumers buy into breweries and how breweries grow from beyond their local neighborhood and into a broader geographic area, and how that all works with like sales and distribution. There's a whole machine there that like, there's not one way to go about it, but if you do it in the wrong way as a brewery, you can overextend yourself and over leverage yourself and just not be in the best place. But to be honest, for myself, I stopped asking the question. I stopped asking, what can I do to support? And I just looked for ways to do it. And this kind of like brings it back to like the whole theme that you guys had put together, like the beer events thing, and what you guys do is a beer event. That's where I really early on, I think 2016-ish, kind of really started going heavy on events, because these places are making beer. They're putting beer out, selling it over the counter at their tap room. They're distributing it to retailers, bars and bottle shops. But they're still on a weekly basis, multiple days a week, putting money, time, investment, resources into running events at the tap room, participating in events at other venues, getting involved in more, larger festival type of things. Like, events are such a huge piece of the ecosystem, and they're, like we were talking about before, they're never ending. Every single week there's more and more and more, and you need to keep fueling it. And so I was like, that's where I want to put my support behind, because these guys need help getting the word out. They're going to sell through, that hype hazy that they put out, no problem. Like, they're going to get rid of it, and they're not worried about that. But they are worried about making sure that the exposure at the grassroots level is like maintaining and like building steam over the years. And so that's where I've chosen to like throw a lot of my support behind. So Hop to LA, the growth that we've had really started back in 2016 when we started pushing brewery events and beer bar events and helping the sales reps push the events that they were doing on premise. And so that was a big piece of it. And since COVID, that's been gone, and that's been a huge kind of like existential crisis for me to like figure out like, all right, what next? Like, what is our identity? Where do we fit in terms of this ecosystem if we're not promoting events on a weekly basis? Beer releases became a thing that we started gravitating towards. Like, beer's going into cans, it has to get out into the market, and there's a million of them happening every single week. And how are we spotlighting the ones that like are interesting and sound like they could be cool and aren't just the same old thing? And that's where I've chosen now to kind of put a lot of my support behind. It's the small stuff. It's the release, it's the little trivia tasting event or whatever. Like, it's the little things. That's where we've kind of chosen to go. And now we've built up enough goodwill where we can reach out to anyone with any idea, basically, and be like, hey, we want to try this. And people are down, which I'm lucky to have that. But it doesn't change like kind of our identity. We're like ground up. Let's support the small things, get beer into people's hands, tell the story behind that beer, make it interesting, and get people. The big thing for me is loyalty. Loyalty in the craft beer world is incredibly difficult. I think that breweries now are getting a lot better, and with this like direct to consumer shipping type of thing, and the memberships that are coming on, like, those are helpful. But when you have someone that goes to the bottle shop on a weekly basis and isn't buying the same brewery because they like that brewery, they're going for the cool can, they're going for a different brewery every time. We want to, breweries need loyalty. So how do we help foster that in a way that's authentic, that like gets people, a consumer, a drinker, a beer enthusiast attracted to a brewery in like a way that like is meaningful to them, and then grow that from there? Like, I love expouting like the stories of my early craft beer days when I was like, hell yeah, I remember when I was at Three Weavers the first year that they opened, and we were back there and we tasted a beer off the Bright Tank, and like forever after that I was a dying loyal fan. And so those are the types of things, like, how do we reverse engineer that for like everybody else?
I think it's hard because, like what you're talking about, how many people could possibly drink off a Bright Tank at once? Maybe 5 if they were cool, all hanging out by the little pigtail. It's like, okay, 5 people get that experience. And you're right. How do you make that something that everybody can experience that wants to? I mean, obviously, there are people that are just there to get a drink and leave, and it's beer and it's great. But there are people that I feel like have that latent interest in like beyond just drinking the beer. They want to see the process. They want to know the hops. They want to know the malt. They want to know, are they using RO water? Or are they using some other kind of water? The minutia. Maybe they don't need to know the chemistry behind it, but they want to know, like, from that brewery what they're doing that makes that beer that they like so much, why they like it that much. And it is part of its culture, but also part of it is just like the brewery is putting out beer that you personally find a calling from. Mm-hmm. So like for me, that was Humble Sea. Like I like the vibe they're putting off, but I also like their choices in terms of, the ingredients that they're using most of the time. The fact that they're doing crazy things with different kinds of hop combinations and different versions of hop, like cup oil
Implements
and
incognito. Yeah.
hop craziness and dry hopping and wet hopping, and like and they're doing all of it in one beer, and you get these crazy, flavors and things that you wouldn't expect from a beer that you would have even 5 years ago. It's insane. But you're right. How do you get that experience to the masses? Like
I think every brand has gone. There's always like the Chevy versus Ford versus Toyota. There's that brand loyalty, like you said, is can be hard to foster for sure.
Yeah, it's layered. It's a lot of the things that you're talking about. It starts there. It starts with a good beer and a good first impression, and it builds on from there. So you can't expect to how do we get this really cool story and this really cool experience that's really personal and intimate, and get that to everybody. Like you want to look at it in a layered way where you just focus on putting out good beer and communicating why you're brewing that beer. That's like number one. And then you just build on it from there. You build that loyal base of fans, and then you utilize your own platforms, your own communication. You utilize people like you guys that are doing festivals, that are reaching people that they might not get to know. And I personally don't know the content of your guys' fest, but I know that you film with the brewers. So there's opportunities there for them to get their personality to shine through and their brand to really resonate. And so there's interesting things there, working with people like me to help them kind of further tell that story. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that you have to be smart and you have to know what you're doing. And it starts with good beer, but it builds on from there,
Daniel Groves brings up a good point. It's hard to be loyal when all the breweries need help, at this point, which is a totally valid comment, because you want to help out as many people as possible, but is there a trade-off by, you're spreading all your spending thin between multiple? Is it hurting the ones that you really love? I mean, I don't know. It's hard. You're 100% correct. It's hard to be loyal right now, especially if you're trying to be true to helping out the local community craft brewers that you want to see still exist after this is over. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what the answer for that is, Daniel, but great observation. I mean, it's true.
I mean, I guess as long as you're drinking some of it.
True. As long as you're not buying beer from fake craft breweries, I mean, you're helping. I would say just stick to the people that are local to you, unless you've got a love affair with another brewery somewhere else. I would say, stop by your local brewery, do a pickup, of a couple beers a couple times a week. I think that would help the most, is just consistency, honestly.
Yeah.
Don't buy a crap ton and then not buy anything for 4 weeks. Try and spread it out so their numbers are showing consistency. Because I think that helps them plan for the future at this point.
Yeah.
Is being a consistent customer instead of a roller coaster customer.
I'm a roller coaster customer. I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those
hard.
guys.
I mean,
it's hard. Especially because
I'm loving this conversation, but I'm also getting thirsty for beer number 2.
I 100% agree. I saved this a little bit to wet my whistle because I was talking a lot, and I was like, I'm going to need something later.
All right, I'm going to crack this one open. Do you guys want to introduce what we're drinking?
Oh yeah, do it.
So our last festival, we did an Oktoberfest themed festival. We called it Droptoberfest to kind of make a fun of our name. Last Drop Beer Festival.
Yeah.
So we called it Droptoberfest, and Moxa, the one lower collaborator on this beer, was in the festival and gave us a really cool fest beer called Leather Drinking Shorts.
Yes, Leather Drinking Shorts.
Which was totally fun because the label literally looked like lederhosen that had been stitched onto the label.
Yeah.
And then last week, was it?
Yes.
Last week,
it's already been a week.
We filmed our first interview for this current festival at Harlan And when we had told them that we had Moxa in our last one, they're like, "Oh, you guys, well, since you did that, we have to give you this, which is our collab with." I can't even see that. God,
He's got Gary.
you know,
He's got the good.
you got to take this because you guys. Yes, thank you. They're Harlan Moxa, fan of a fan.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know the history behind Moxa, Derek used to work down at Normal in San Diego.
That's right. Good memory, Ben.
Yes.
You talk.
Thank you. So he used to be in San Diego. Harlan is down in San Diego. So these all the brewers, they knew each other. And Harlan's a newer brewery. I think they said they opened up a year and a half ago. Woo! Yeah, it made it. The foam did not overflow. So they knew each other, and then they did a collab, and it was fan of a fan. And this is what is this? Triple IPA?
Yeah.
Triple hazy. Yep. I don't know anything about it other than the fact that we were excited because it had two brewers from our festivals involved in it.
It's got Citra. I believe it's pronounced Raiwaka, Strata, and Citra Cryo.
So right off the nose, a little bit of pineapple.
See, I couldn't wait. I drank this the other day, so I know you're.
I have not had this one yet.
You'll like
So
this.
Gary and I are in the same boat right now. Casey has already
yeah.
cheated, previewed the test.
I mean, they gave us cans. I had to drink.
It's true.
That head retention is ridiculous.
It is actually.
course, I
not
kinda-
knowing it. It reminds me of like a slow pour that you do on a Pilsner, where it just kind of gets thicker and thicker and thicker, but it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily get smaller.
This is a hazy beer. This is
That is your
no
classic.
mistaking aroma, appearance. Like this is, it's the body is bigger. It's creamier.
It's definitely got that pillowy kind of texture to it, where you know there's something in your mouth after you've already swallowed it, and it's kind of still hanging on to your tongue and gums a little bit.
Oh, totally. It's completely
Smells like
soft.
nothing. Smells like nothing but grapefruit to me. In all the right ways.
Grapefruit?
Yeah, that's what I get.
I get grapefruit peel. You said pineapple. I get lots of pineapple. I get lots
Yeah.
of peach rings too.
Yep, I was just gonna say some peach. I love playing this game because really you're never wrong, because as long as you're kind of like
I was actually
following
thinking,
things that
you guys
you've eaten.
said. You guys said peaches. I was thinking some sort of stone fruit, and then you said peaches. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay.
I mean
okay.
it could be like if the non-tart part of a plum a little bit.
Okay. All
Like
right.
if you just had kind of like that mid-flesh, not tart, not sweet, but kind of
Yeah.
like that. It's stone fruit again.
Man,
Yeah, I get the peach more in like a candy, like it's sweet peach. Like this beer is incredibly sweet to me. A lot of candy-like and just that tropical fruit sweetness. This is the kind of beer that I've moved away from in the latter half of 2020, just because
You're
it doesn't.
taking the drier, kind of more
Yeah.
tropical note, but not necessarily like tropical punch.
Yeah, this is a little creamy. This is a little sweet for me. It's delicious. It's really good. It's well executed at, what is it, 10.5? 10%?
We're in trouble,
Tiny
you guys.
that's triple IPA. Like this is executed really, really well. This is soft as hell, really round edges, really chewy. Just it's a beautiful hazy. It really is.
And just a hint of that hop burn. There is a little bit,
Yeah.
and I've had some hazy IPAs that you're like coughing at the end because it's got that burn in the back of your throat. You're like,
yeah.
this has a teensy bit, kind of almost like if you took a nibble of a really mild jalapeno and kind of got that burn on the side of your tongue.
Yep.
You. It's definitely comparing it to the last one. You're talking about mouthfeel. You're right. This one way chewier than the last one. It's not. It's heavier in the palate, not in a bad way.
Right. Yeah, it's just different beer. It's good. I'm glad we graduated to this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, starting with this could have been good too, because then I don't know. It's all good. What can I say?
we could end with it too.
It was exciting.
Yeah, good stuff.
Fan of a fan.
Triple IPA.
That's what we should be. We should be like checking out like what everybody else like, because I love. I'm not huge into the Untapped. I'm really bad at it. I use it often when I really like a beer and I want to remember it because I'm afraid I'm going to forget. But Ben over here has like a whole like process for making sure he checks in with it. We won't get into his inner workings, but
it's a great process because it allows me to not buy beer that I don't like, and rebuy beer that I really do like.
Yeah.
And I always try to be very positive in my comments and stuff.
Yeah.
But there are certain things I'll say that I know that this was good, and I'll be like.
Are you like Guy Fieri?
But not that many people follow me. Sorry, I just stood up out of the frame. Not that many people follow me on Untappd, so it doesn't matter. I mean,
I can imagine. I just watched. This is going to be like off topic, but slightly on topic. I just watched a how you can tell if Guy Fieri really likes the food that he's eating. Apparently, if he starts talking about the ingredients, he doesn't like it.
He's like, so you got some tomatoes in there, some garlic,
I can taste coriander.
Onion.
Is that allspice? Yeah. Apparently, that's how you can tell when you don't like it. So now I want to go back and read all of Ben's Untappd and see if I can start figuring out. Oh, he gave it a four bottle cast, but yeah. He starts talking about the citras and the hops and the malts.
Yep.
He doesn't like it.
And hey, guys, if you're just joining us. We're here with Gary from Hop Delay, and we are literally just hanging out, drinking some beer, talking about the craft beer industry. We've been talking about some of the events that we've experienced, some that we've helped put on.
Yeah.
Gary was telling us about his history and helping breweries kind of like do some actual fun stuff in real life, and also how difficult it's been to transition over to the virtual side of things and making smart choices with where to put your effort. So hey, welcome. And if you missed it, we are on Fan of a Fan, a collab between Moxa and Harlan Brewing, and Harlan Triple IPA.
Okay, so I didn't realize that Harlan. I feel like Harlan's been around a lot longer. Like when we were talking to them and doing that interview, they're like, "Oh yeah, we just had our 1 year, right?"
Yeah, they've been open for like a year and a half.
Year and a half now. And I was just like, "Wow, you guys are like, they're kicking out the bangers." I mean, they're all the beers because they sent us home with some beer.
Of course, you got it. It's
holy cow!
Look at now we're talking about their beer live on the internet.
But they're one of those spots that like. I wonder how it took me. I wonder how it took me so long to find them, but also they haven't even been around that long, and they're kicking it, man.
I feel like they hit the ground running, and they had a good
we'll talk about
group of people behind them to start with.
Talk about loyal fan base. I mean, they said I'm trying to remember that one beer they said that like they had was their kicker beer that like really sent them into the like local, like the locals love this spot. But yeah,
was it the Ube Milkshake IPA?
That was the one. Yeah, that was the. It was like
so it's literally like a purple hazy IPA, and people went bananas over it. Yeah. And because they use the ube, which is like a potato, it added like this mouthfeel that I think people just went bananas over, and it was kind of like one of those hype beers that everybody wanted, but they were so new they couldn't produce enough of it. So it's constantly like if you go onto their social media, somebody always is saying, Milkshake IPA coming out soon? And it's one of those things like that's awesome that people are so excited for it, but I also feel for them. You get pigeonholed into being like the Ube Milkshake IPA brewery when clearly they are making awesome freaking beer all around. The other stuff they gave us to take home, like they have a camp beer, they called it, which is an American lager. Oh man, that thing was delicious. Casey was saying like,
well, I learned a long time ago, before we hop into talking about that beer, I learned a long time ago when I was first getting into craft beer, # it's my wife's fault. we were talking to one of the brewers, probably Bottle Logic, and I said, "Hey, what do you drink?" And he goes, "Well, anytime I'm going to a new spot, you get the lightest beer that they have because there's nothing to hide behind." And I have truly found that to be like a guiding light towards anytime I go somewhere. You know, you're like, "Oh, I heard this place does great triple IPAs, or they do great stouts, or their Imperial Red's awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, give me that Pilsner. Like, I'll take that thing." Like, and it's really guided me well. But yeah, their camp beer that they gave us, I was like, man, I need to go back down there and get more of these. It's 4.5%, so clearly an all dayer. Mm-hmm. And I think your Jen actually said something along the lines of like it's like it makes me it tastes like camping, but not like smoked, like it's a smoked beer or anything like that. But it tastes like if you just close your eyes and drink it, you're like, I'm camping. This is good.
I love beer that can transport you like that. Like,
yeah,
not necessarily with the flavor itself, but just like you're drinking the beer and the experience transports you. So like you're sitting around a campfire somewhere, maybe there's the sound of the waves crashing on the ocean below you, and you're roasting up some marshmallows and you're drinking this beer that's like light, refreshing, and crushable, like those things that you want when you're camping, because you don't want to be hungover while you're camping, because that sucks.
Because you don't want to roll out of bed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the transporting experience with beer, the possibilities that beer can bring. And I was just talking about that on Friday about a stout that Arrow Lodge has. They take the lodge part of their name really far, where the entire tap room is like kind of like a log cabin type of thing in the wilderness. They have a lot of wilderness, a lot of camping theme throughout. And I was drinking this stout and I was like, this reminds me of like a campfire. There was no smokiness, none of that, but it was just like, I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was the brand, it was the label, it was the story, it was everything. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. That's one of the funnest things about beer to me, is just letting myself go with wherever the beer wants to take me, and not having to think too hard about like what's in it, why is, like all those things that I was talking about earlier that are really important. At the same time, sometimes you don't even want to think about any of that stuff, and you just want it to be like present moment, beer, that's it.
Exactly. Relax, drink the beer, don't overthink it. Which happens sometimes too often. Like we're dissecting this beer. Somebody would be on the other end being like, dude, just drink it and enjoy it.
Just drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is fun.
Yeah. I've made my peace that like my role is to break it down. But like when I'm not on camera, when I'm at home and like I don't feel like thinking about the right words to say or write or get the right lighting for the right photo, I'm just cracking open a beer, drinking it, and either enjoying it or thinking about, opening up one that I am going to enjoy better or something like that, where I'm just like, I'm just experiencing the beer in itself. Yeah. And that's a fun part of it too. And I think that's when you're working in beer, it's an easy thing to overlook.
Yes.
I totally agree. Because you can get caught up in it super easily. Like, oh, I have to take a picture of this beer. Oh, the lighting looks garbage. Let's take 17 more photos until I get the right one. And Jen, back there has to deal with me doing that all the time.
She's nodding heavily right now. Oh,
sometimes to the degree that it causes stress, because we're trying to get the beer just right before the head flattens out. We know the trick. You take a chopstick and swirl it up and get the head back. But it's like at a certain point, it's like the enjoyment of beer has been deflated, and you're like,
it's like you said. There's people at home going, "Dude, just drink it, don't drink
beer." Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think I look at it as like a sacrifice, like we are sacrificing our experience of this beer so that we can help tell the story, so that when you see it, you buy it, you drink it, you don't have to think about it. You just have that subconscious in the back of your mind. And I think that's what you're doing with your festival. Like I said, I don't know the content, but I'm assuming that like a part of it is like you guys handle the content so that the person drinking the beer isn't forced to be like, what is this again? Like, what am I drinking? What's in this beer? Like, you're just like, you're delivering the entire package, which
But I mean, that's part of the cool part about being able to go to the breweries and they can tell us their story behind that beer.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be us, trying to retell their story or talk about the hops and the malt and all the ingredients or adjuncts they've added throughout. It's like they get to tell their story so that while you're enjoying it in our festival, it's almost as if the brewer is there telling you one-on-one, hey, this is what we did with this is what makes it cool, this is what makes it different, and the stories that go along with that beer. Maybe when they were draining out, somebody didn't drain it enough, and there was still a bunch of, what's it called? The trub at the bottom, and it just leaked out all over the place and made a huge mess. Those are the fun stories that we get to hear from the brewers themselves, and kind of like say, here, this is what we kind of put together, and we're showing you this experience that it's you and the brewer.
And I think that's one of the pluses, an actual plus of these virtual beer fests. As different as they are, we've found out a lot because we always say that we're a socially curated event, and we found out that there are we've got the whole rainbow of guests, from people who are like, what's craft beer, to brewers that are actually watching with us. I mean, in our last festival, East Brother that bought 5 tickets so that they could all sit back and watch the festival with us. But that's the bonus, I think, is because in real life, often when you go to a festival, you're more like, sweet, thanks for the beer, I'm going to go get another line. And like, you don't necessarily get that story about that beer.
And also half of the time, it's not the brewer that's there. It's not even anybody from the brewery that's there. Yeah. It's a volunteer that's pouring the beer, because that's kind of how it has to work for a lot of the beer festivals. That it's benefiting a nonprofit. Yep. So like the people from the nonprofit are the ones that are actually pouring the beers. So they might know it's an IPA, they might know it's a lager, and they might have some notes like, oh yeah, they use, Chinook hops. You don't get that same kind of in-depth kind of story with the beer. And like he was saying, sweet, thanks for the beer, I'm going to go stand in another line for 20 minutes to get the next beer that I was really hoping to get.
So I had been to, in real life, beer festivals, and I was kind of that, like, want to hit them all up, or not necessarily hit them all up, but I mean, for one thing, they're all like 4 hours. There's usually 80 of them. There's no way you can get through all of them. So you kind of got like this list in your head, like your top 10, like I got to get to these ones, but the lines are really long. And I'll never forget, I went to one that was at the Orange County Fairgrounds. We won't say the name, but I had that experience where I walked up and I'm like, wow, there's nobody here. I wanted to get this beer. There's 2 beers. And I walked up and I was like, oh, awesome. Well, it says blah, blah, blah name, and it's a hazy. Do you know like the hops are in it? And the girl just looks and she goes, it's a hazy IPA. And I was like, do you know, like, and she's like, oh, I don't, just so you know, I'm a volunteer. I don't actually work there. I was like, that like blew my mind, because up until that moment, I just thought that the brewery sent people out and you could talk to somebody about beer. So again, like, I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy, even from the lesser other beer festivals out there, that you can get like a lot more information to people. And if people don't want to hear it, they're just going to sit there and talk to their friends via Zoom and drink anyways. But the people that want it can really get it. That's a high point for me.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the whole, we're doing it socially curated. Like, if you want to listen to what the hell we're talking about, great. Turn up your volume. If you want to just wait for the next beer, that's great. If we're going to open one in the next 5 to 10 minutes, you got it. You got to go.
Enjoy this music. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. We talk about like shopping local and, helping the local guys out. Us both working in entertainment aren't really doing what we normally do. And I didn't even realize that we're also helping local bands because we're reaching out to bands who don't have gigs. You know, they're all like, sure, you want me to be in an event? Absolutely. So when we first started this, it was like an easy pick for us. Like, oh yeah, we got to go get a band. I wasn't even thinking about it until after the first festival. Like, oh yeah, we're helping like spread the word about local music too. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's cool because they're excited to work with us and we're excited to work with them. And the fact that we can help them make a little bit of extra money, you know, we pay them a flat fee. Plus we put up their Venmo account info. And, you know, throughout the thing, we have them come up a couple times. If you want to throw them a tip of $2, $5, whatever, every dollar helps them. Like they're musicians. They're hurting just like 99% of the rest of us that are, you know, wishing we had something that could make some income. So like the fact that we can help musicians out and other entertainers, you know, it's a win-win really.
Yeah, that's rad. I mean, I've noticed yours and some of the other fests that have like live music involved in it. And I love music but like at a beer fest, I never really connect the two because I'm just so one track minded. Music is like in the background, like I don't pay attention usually. But I know a lot of people do pay attention to the music, especially later on in the events where like you see people dancing and like people getting really into some of the bands. But yeah, the crossover into supporting local and supporting another sector of business makes total sense with the crossover there. One thing that I've been thinking about too is food, like incorporating a food element. Like I think about it more in terms of like, how do I do like a pairing event? But even for like a fest type of thing where like maybe that's a little bit too granular, like even just snacks to go along with the beer make a lot of sense, you know, like an add-on food thing where they don't have to think about doing the whole spread and you have a local vendor that like does it all. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, and we actually reached out for like the Oktoberfest one. We reached out really early on. We're like, it would be so awesome if we could like throw some pretzels in there or throw some sausage, because literally we keep the beer refrigerated the entire time. Like from the time we get it to the time the people pick it up, it's refrigerated. So as long as, you know, they took it home and put it in the refrigerator, they could have like a sausage and it could have a pretzel. So we reached out to a bunch of these companies and they like could not wrap their mind around the concept, which was
they hadn't done that pivot yet.
I don't think they had, which was disappointing. But at the same time, it was just like, okay, you know, this is a hurdle that we'll figure out at another point. And, you know, it's great. We still told people, hey, go to Trader Joe's. They have frozen soft pretzels. And they're like $5 and you get 6 pretzels or something. And they were awesome. And people kept on saying, yeah, these Trader Joe's pretzels are awesome.
Yeah.
So it still allowed people to kind of do the food along with us. And one of the things we kind of talk about too is like cooking lessons with beer kind of thing. Like we've kind of dabbled in that like on our own social media accounts just to kind of see what that process will look like. But I think even more so than us doing it, bringing in a chef that, you know, wants to showcase some of their skills and how beer kind of interplays with the food that they're putting together, that, you know, maybe they make a really simple recipe with a couple ingredients and, hey, at the very end, pour a couple ounces of that beer in there. And it kind of like all makes it come together and it becomes like beer cooking with a real chef. And that's something we really want to look into. But again, it's like making that happen is the hat trick.
Well, I mean,
resources.
It's resources. It's, you know, everyone, you know, my father owns a restaurant and the idea, like when you say it out loud, you're like, yeah, that sounds really cool. But also him and everybody else in the restaurant industry is just trying to freaking hang on. Pivot after pivot of open, close, delivery, outdoor dining, indoor dining. It's tough.
Yeah, I hear you for sure. Yeah, I think it's there. Yeah, I mean, I think that we're kind of in the same boat where it's like, how do we do more? How do we keep supporting? How do we, I mean, at the end of the day, also, like, how do we put a few dollars back in our pocket too, to like make this, to justify all the time we're spending on it too? Like, that's kind of where I'm at where
That's the
Hop
part we
LA
haven't figured out
We
yet.
definitely haven't figured that part out.
Hop LA has been like such a side project thing for so long, and it's made money that we just put back into it. And I'm kind of at this point now where it's like I got to figure it out too. Like now that I have a child on the way, and I've gotten older and. Thank you. But yeah, as it happens, like you have to kind of look at the way you spend your time and justify how you're doing that. And so I've started taking that more seriously myself, and as a result, I'm taking more seriously the commitments that I'm making to our community, but also the brewers that we serve as well. Like I look at what we do at Hopped LA as like a two-sided thing. Like I serve the LA beer community and craft beer enthusiasts in the area, and beer tourism is a growing thing here in Los Angeles, at least what is it? What do you call it? POCO?
POCO, post-COVID.
Yeah, POCO. Once we're in POCO, it'll come back. But yeah, the brewers and the beer bars and all the retailers are the other side of our audience as well, that we're like dedicated to serving. And yeah, that's kind of like where we just launched that Hopbox product, where it was like our business model was based on advertising before this year. And, it was looking really good in January, February. Like, man, this is really going to work out now after a long time of doing this, making nothing. And that whole thing changed with COVID. And I don't want to be a business that relies on having the people I serve that are like hurting and barely able to stay open, like trying to milk money out of them. Like it doesn't feel right to me, and it's not smart business. So that's why I've been like, okay, pivot to the consumer. Like obviously people are paying for beer. Like how do I help ignite some of that part of the ecosystem? And it comes down to like where we were. What we were talking about a little while ago is the event side of things. So, we have we have these breweries that have been selling to-go beer out of their tap room. And I've seen some of them start doing virtual tastings themselves. So they'll sell the beer and do like virtual tasting themselves. And it just made sense for me after a certain point, like, so much of what I'm passionate about is education in beer and in ingredients, and not from a sister-owned standpoint, not where you're going to have to fork up money and get a formal education and be like the beer snob of your group, but how do I empower you with the knowledge to enjoy the beverage better, to like know more about it, so that you know what you like and what you don't like, and so that you can help spread the word in a better way, so that where I'm really focused on is like the beer guy in a group of friends, like the guy who's had maybe they've had like El Segundo or Three Weavers or something like that, but they don't know that Tortuga Brewing Company is right down the road, or Surf Ridge Brewing is right down the street from El Segundo. I'm focused on like empowering like the beer guy in a group of friends, so that he's going to his buddies, and all his buddies are like, yo, what brewery are we hitting up this week or whatever. And that's kind of like what I think about is like, I want to empower that guy to help spread the word at like the more micro level. And so that's where like the beer box thing comes into play for me, where, I don't expect like you guys were saying, you have this wide audience of people that get into your festivals, where it's like some are brewers, some are real deep into beer, and some like just want to have a good time and like let loose on a Saturday. And for me, like I'm just really focused on like the guys in the middle there, and that want to invest like a little bit more into like figuring out, what do I really like, where do I want to take it, how do I enjoy this in a better way, so that I know what I'm drinking a little bit better, and doing it in a way that's like not like snobby, because I don't know enough about beer to like educate you to be like a beer snob, but I know enough to like help get you excited about what you like and what you don't like. So that's kind of like where I've started taking things, and I love the way it juxtaposes some of the things that like what you guys are doing, where it's like we have a more produced festival. We're going direct to the brewers and getting their words directly in front of you. We have this curated thing. Like the breweries that you guys got on, I mean, you guys have the best beer out of any virtual beer festival in Southern California, in California. Like, it's the best beer lineup that I've seen for any virtual festival. And yeah, man, like that's number one. Like, that's the number one thing for me. Like, you got to get past that. Then I'll buy into it. And then, you know, obviously you guys deal with production and you guys do a good job there. But getting you to buy the ticket based upon, oh, I'm going to try the first beer out of Radiant. Like, I'm going to be able to try Harland. I'm going to be able to try some of the guys that you are bringing in here, that it's just some good stuff. And so, you know, hats off to you, because that's like, I think the biggest challenge that a lot of these guys face.
Yeah, and actually that ties back into us having great beer. Ties back into was it Daniel who said, like, it's hard to be loyal and help everyone? That's kind of actually a little bit of what we're doing. We're trying to help everyone. If everyone buys one ticket, you can help out a bunch of breweries, because you get all of these great breweries brought to your door.
And not only that, it gives you the opportunity to, maybe you don't want to drive down to San Diego if you're in the Orange County area just to get one beer. Yeah. But now we're bringing you 3 + 1 from Temecula, and it makes it so much easier that it's like that whole bubble down there is now brought to your. I mean, technically, some people can get it brought to their door. We figured out shipping this time. It was a pain, but we got that crap figured out. But also, just like, you know, the places that we have the pickups from are all really awesome bottle shops that, hey, I'm going to pick up my beer, but oh crap, look, they also have something from who should we say?
I was waiting for you just to say Humble Sea.
Humble Sea. Humble Sea. I'm going to pick that up too. So again, it's like we're trying to hit as many like businesses. I don't know why I'm saying businesses.
They're real. They're real.
They're real businesses.
They're real.
We're trying to help as many businesses that are in the craft beer industry as possible. So, you know, when you go pick up your beer from Windsor Homebrew or First Class Pizza or
seriously, get it.
O'Shea's.
Get a freaking pizza. Oh my God, I'm in love with that pizza there.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving people opportunities to not only, like, maybe they haven't been to these places to get beer, and whoa, okay, they have cases and cases of awesome beer I've never heard of before. Yeah. And all of the people that work at these places are really knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. So you go in there and say, hey, I've tried some hazy IPAs, but I want to try a triple hazy. I've never had one before. They can, like, steer you in the right direction. And we're sending them the people that can, you know, kind of make that gap. They're beer drinkers already. Maybe they go to Total Wine usually, right? Which is a great place, but it's a national company. The places that we've got people picking up are your local craft beer stores, and it's just like, cool, great. I'm gonna go pick up beer and grab something else also. It's really just, we're trying to, like, foster the whole ecosystem. They're just kind of like everybody's helping each other essentially.
I'm looking forward to getting down to Windsor. I've never been, and I really respect what Scott's doing down there, and the beers that he's bringing in, and I mean, good stuff for sure. I applaud what you guys are doing. That's why I reached out, was like, I think that someone that's on board with Hopped LA and, like, trying to, like, really get down into figuring out what they like and getting deeper into some of those beers and those breweries, you know, I think the Radiant thing for me was like, it kind of sealed the deal. I was like, oh man, these guys are, like, committed to a brewery that's, like, brand new. Obviously, like, the guys are involved, are experienced, and you know, there's no worries there. But, like, that's really cool. Like, it's a first look that you're giving to your people that, like, no one else is really getting. So I think for me, that's, like, an exciting thing. I love that kind of stuff.
I mean, we did that with our last festival too. We had Cervecito that's down here in Santa Ana, like, with walking distance from where I live. They're down on 4th Street, and they hadn't opened yet either. And we were like, hey, you guys want to be in our festival? We've got one spot left. It'd be really cool to have a brewery that hasn't even opened yet. we trust you. We know the people that are behind it, and you're going to put something out that's good and is also hyper local.
Yeah.
And so again, it was one of those things like the people in our festival were the first ones to be able to get beer from them.
Yeah, that was an interesting filming. Like, hey guys, can you stop banging hammers for like 10 minutes?
Yeah, their tasting room was literally under construction while we were there. So like there were circulars like sawzall, there were like moments where we were like, okay, and action, what's in this beer now? Okay, crap, we're gonna start over again. But it was cool because we were able to help them promote before they were even open. It gave them something to, on their social media say, hey, we're participating in Last Trial, and it gave us something to be able to say, hey, check out these guys. They're brand new. They're not even open yet, but when they do open, go check them out.
Yeah, I'm really excited you talked about it, Radiant. Like, I'm excited because everybody knows it's one of those things that, like, when there were rumblings about these people were going to take and buy that old spot that was there, and they're going to start brewing beer. Everyone's kind of like one of those like mumble, and we were really lucky to already know Ryan Dick that's moving over to that spot, and we were like, dude, we hear already hearing the mumblings of great things. What do you think? And he's like, we're actually probably going to be able to do it because they're just started brewing beer like this month.
Yeah.
So.
So we will have some of the first beer out of their tanks ever.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool.
I just realized we might have set ourselves up like for some really high expectations because twice now in 2 of our festivals we've had like never before seen breweries, and now every time everyone's gonna be like, so what's that new
what's
opening?
The new unopened beer brewery yet?
we might be hitting you up and being like, hey, what's going on up in LA?
Yeah, what's going on in LA?
I got you.
Send us to the new brewery that's opening that is not going to suck.
For sure.
Expect
Nice.
that call.
Yep.
Shall we, boys?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm glad we finished this. That
I'm gonna have to wrap up pretty soon, so we'll have to move into these next 2.
Let's do it. Let's
high speed.
All right. So for everyone tuning in, we are cracking open a beer called Doomsday. This is a 13% Imperial Stout by Arrow Lodge in collaboration with Beer Zombies. And what is it having it? This is a pastry adjunct bomb. Vanilla, caramel, and coffee.
Ooh, coffee. Good.
Yep, I love all those things. And first, let me say how awesomely dark tan that head looks on there. Anytime, I don't know if you're a Tavour kind of guy, but anytime they have a stout on, I always look at how dark the head is. Because if you have a dark head, it's going to be a really viscous, kind of like thick and juicy stout. I don't want to say juicy. Thick and chewy stout. And I really enjoy those kind. And this little puppy here definitely has that dark tan brown head on it that I like. I already know it's gonna make me happy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the aroma on there is
clearly
coffee,
clearly.
some maple, caramel, definitely almost like salted caramel. I get.
I was I get like that burnt caramely, the good dark parts of coffee with that caramel sweetness.
Absolutely, yeah. Chocolate covered caramels. Super good. They put this out about a month ago.
Yeah,
2 months.
That's pretty fresh in stout ages.
Yeah. Have you had anything from Arrow Lodge?
I don't remember what it was.
You gotta check your Untappd.
I do. I don't store it in my brain. I store it in my Untappd. So, I could check, but
yeah,
I think we're going to run out of time if I start doing stuff like that.
Arrow Lodge they're located in Covina, which is in the San Gabriel Valley, very east part of Los Angeles County. And they are known for a variety of different styles of beer. They proficient, their head brewer, Amy Heller, just really good, comes from the wine world and has brought her talents to beer and is just really, really doing a great job. West
Shout
Coast.
out to female brewers.
Absolutely.
We want to do like an all-female brewer festival
So bad.
sometime soon, but the ones we keep finding keep going other places, and they're like, "Oh crap! Well, we can't do it with them anymore." 'Cause
Right.
But,
There's a few here in LA. Yeah. But yeah, Aero Lodge, I mean, most people probably know them for their IPAs. West Coast and Hazy, they do a really good job. We threw a Hazy IPA festival last year when festivals could be thrown, and it was an invitational, and they took home first prize there, People's Choice. And yeah, they do a great job across the hoppy stuff, but they are just super proficient at the pastry stout, the high ABV, lots of fun adjuncts. And like I was telling you before, last Friday I did a stout tasting. I do a live tasting every Friday, and was just transported to a campground in the wilderness. And kind of a spoiler alert for anyone listening, I'm about to drop the part 2 of our best beers of 2020, and Aero Lodge's pastry stout from earlier this year that dropped in April makes it, I think, to number 4 or so, maybe number 3 on the list. So yeah, I love what they're doing from a stout game perspective. And I just picked these up yesterday. So it was perfect timing for me to share it with you guys.
And I feel like it's so easy for breweries to like, they say it's a stout and it ends up tasting like a porter, and you're like, But this is probably my most favorite stout I've never had before.
It's good. It's really good. I hope it doesn't fuck us up for FO. I mean, FO's just, I'm so excited for that one.
It should be okay, because
it'll be good.
FO has a lot of 2018 has a lot of barrel characteristic on it, so we'll get a lot of that that bourbony kind of and vanilla.
That's what you need after that.
Like,
yeah,
salted caramely kind of like characteristic with that coffee. It reminds me of like a Steez candy or something without all that like cloying sweetness.
Yeah.
It definitely has like, it feels like a natural sweetness, almost like a brown sugary kind of thing, where it's not like, ooh, I just had a shot of sugar into my mouth. It's got like that brown sugar, turbinado sugar.
You still got some Steez candy over there if you want to pair it up.
Yep, always got to have that Steez. But yeah, this is freaking amazing, and I'm definitely going to be checking out Aero Lodge in the near future.
Yeah, they do they have a beer membership that's only stouts. It's called the Stouts Honored Society, and it's every month or two.
I love these guys more and more every time I hear about this.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. Keep an eye.
Another membership, more beer, put it in my fridge. It's already full. I'll just start stacking it on top of my fridge.
The hottest place in the house. Perfect.
All right, I didn't think that one through very well. Daniel Grove says, I just finished Zombie Slaycation. So that must be from Beer Zombie, my guess.
Must be.
Cool, Daniel. How was it? Was it delicious? Was it slayerific?
Oh,
that was a terrible pun.
That was so early onset dads. That was horrible.
And what's the ABV on this?
They hide it well.
13%.
I think the coffee helps hide that.
You know, I love a good like coffee stout, like especially like this one where it tastes like really fresh brewed coffee, and you're not getting that kind of like stale coffee, which kind of has like that dirt flavor to it. This one does not have that. It's definitely got that fresh, roasted kind of woody kind of. It's just delicious.
Delish.
Daniel Grove says it's a Mason Alework and Beer Zombie collab. So Mason is down in San Diego, I believe. Like not all the way, but
that direction.
Yeah, like
Oceanside,
north of San Diego.
I think they're in Oceanside, right?
Yeah, Oceanside. That's it. Beach City, north of San Diego. Oceanside.
Nailed it.
Sweet. That's cool, Daniel. Cheers to you.
Beer Zombies is another one of those. I guess it's kind of hot business model right now. It's like the beer influencer turned Gypsy Brewer, and so their Beer Zombies is doing that, and so they've teamed up with Mason, and all their releases are coming out of Mason now. So it's
that's cool.
Mason's good, so that's cool.
Yep. They have a really cool brew house down there. I think I've been there once, and it was pretty awesome.
Pretty dope.
Yeah. You guys, I'm starting to feel this alcohol. Jen is saying we need to eat. I did make some chili for us, so when we finish this all up, we're gonna be chowing down on some chili. It's gonna be delicious. All this beer is, gonna be amazing with the chili.
Something tells me that Greg over there is not getting through the whole can.
No, Gary. He's having a.
Gary's just like,
I'm good, guys. What's wrong with you?
Totally all these.
I'm a professional, guys. Come on.
I definitely learned from watching other YouTubers that sometimes you gotta you're the captain of the ship, and if the passengers see you freaking out, then they're gonna freak out. So you gotta be the captain. You gotta try to stay level-headed, have a little fun, but don't freak out and put out all those beers.
Yeah, I think the biggest mental hurdle is you don't have to drink all of every beer. Like it took me a while to get to that point where it was like, these beers are great, but like I don't need to drink the entire can of every one. Like I've let go of that, and ever since I did that, like doing this whole thing, I do tastings every single week now, and I don't. It's become a lot easier since then.
Well, you can still be a member of Last Drop, even if you don't get all the last drops. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Is that what it references? It references the last drop of a beer?
I mean, or is it talking about the last can drop? I don't know.
I wasn't sure. That was one of my questions that I was going to ask you guys. Was like, where's the genesis?
Or was it the last? We couldn't. It was the last drop that we could stand of these other terrible virtual beer festivals. Like one of who knows? Maybe it's all of them. The last drop of the bottle, last drop of the can. It was good to the last drop, although that's trademarked by I think Maxwell House or something like that. Coffee, whatever.
In the end, when we started this whole thing, which was literally like a drunken night, us just hanging out via Zoom, the two couples, and we were just like, oh man, we should come up with a name for this thing. If we're gonna do this, like we need a name. And we spent like 2 hours probably easily, like this and that, and all the other things.
Different arrangements of words, like okay, drop in the bucket, drop in the glass.
Before drop came into it,
we
were like trying to put our names together to make a cool acronym thing or something. I don't know, like anything.
All the ridiculous, cheesy things you normally do when you're starting a business. Like,
right.
Okay. No. If somebody sees that, they're gonna think this. Oh, okay, never mind, not that.
Like when you're by the way, again, congratulations on the soon-to-be child, if I remember right.
Yes.
Good luck. You're going to go through the same thing with naming a kid, and you're probably not going to name the kid like who picked on you in school. Your kid's not going to be named whatever that is, like Kevin. If Kevin picked you in school, kid Kevin. So no Kevin's. It was the same thing where we were like, okay, no, we don't like that word. It has this other connotation. What we wanted to finally get back to that. What we wanted with Last Drop was just something that kind of can mean anything. We can reference the fact that we just had, you just picked up these cans, can drop. Everybody's talking about can drops. So, this is the latest drop, the last drop from Green Ocean or something like that. And then, of course, you're at a beer festival. Everyone's always hunting down until those last drops are gone. So it's kind of this ethereal, whatever you want to make it kind of a thing.
I like it. I could dig that.
You're supposed to just take it and run with it yourself, which is kind of what our events are all about. Right. Because we listen to what our droplets, as we call them, whatever our guests are, whatever they want is what we're going to give them. So good beer's at the top of the list.
Yep.
like
You
it?
know what? We made really good time on this. We finished this already.
Oh, no way. Nice.
Because I know I feel your need to make on with your life at
Make
this point.
haste.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried more about the viewers. An hour and a half of us blabbering on. Like, I just feel bad now.
I love it when we do that.
We do this all the time. Beer festivals end up being an extra half hour long because by the end of it, we were like, oh, we were supposed to be done. You guys want to keep hanging out? Okay.
Yeah, literally, we will have like almost 90% of the viewers still at the end of the festival, and we're like, okay, folks, we're done. And the numbers don't drop at all. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you guys want to hang out and drink some more beer? What's going on here? So it's kind of like we just go with the flow, and that's kind of the socially curated part of it. It's like we try and keep it going, keep it lively. Jen's giving us the cut your head off thing in the back. It's great. We love it.
We do love the relationship that we have with the Jen behind the camera. Ben and I love to egg that on. I think where the
I can tell my wife that I'm not drinking alone.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, obviously. Hanging out for an hour. It's like your buds are here hanging out with you. We're drinking some beer, chatting up, craft beer. It's fun.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, is there a word for pre-COVID? Pre-co?
Yeah, pre-co. I like that. That's yours now.
The before.
We're going to take pre-co, courtesy of Hop Delay.
There you go. So before we move into the finale here, which I'm so excited for, I wanted to ask you guys, each of you, favorite beer of 2020.
I mean,
Is that a difficult question?
It's hard. I've got like a couple favorites of styles.
Yeah.
But of the ultimate.
Yeah, the
I
ultimate.
don't know. Hey, look, Andrew is trying. Who is that? Andrew is trying to jump in.
How does that even? Nope.
Well,
Anyways,
the mic's not on, so sorry, Andrew. You can watch from the waiting room.
Okay, so mine. I'm gonna go with. How about this? My surprise favorite beer, because favorite beer. That's. I'm like Ben over here. Like I kind of want to break down. Oh, you got one? Okay. My surprise favorite beer was from our first festival, which I shouldn't say that it was. That's why it was a surprise, but Robot Red.
Yeah. Okay.
I was an Imperial Red, which is no longer quite the huge hype kind of type beer that it used to be. But that was just a freaking well executed beer. Pardon me.
Imperial Red Ale, and it was delicious. The only one that I've even had that came close to that was Alaskan. They make an Imperial Red that you can't get anywhere on here, but I've had it on a cruise ship before.
Well,
and that's
why
the beer.
You can't get it because the cruise ship just buys it.
Probably, but it's like that. It's almost like it's a style that's gone out of fashion.
Yeah.
But the way that Stereo Brewing pulled that thing off, it was massive but delicious.
Well,
Wait, who's the brewery?
Stereo.
Okay. I've never had anything from Stereo, I don't think.
They are actually making a really good name for themselves, and they won, I think, a couple things at GABF this year.
Yeah.
Which was really surprising because they are a really small brewery, but they really execute their beer extremely well. Rick,
owner
and what's the other guy's name?
Oh shoot, totally forgetting.
Jeremy? No. Yes? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Great guy.
But
Great guy. Sorry,
and they were so welcoming for us. Our first festival, they let us get up in there in the mash tun and get some awesome shots of them graining out. And, they were just so excited to be participating.
Yeah.
And so we had them back again. And the next festival, and their beer again was super popular. People loved their fest beer that they gave us. And it was, they're just an awesome brewery. Great people. It's the kind of brewery that when you say, who should I support locally? It's They're the kind that you want to be like, okay, go to Stereo, buy a bunch of beer from them. They're not going to do you wrong, and the money that you put toward them will go exponentially further than, say, some of these like larger craft breweries.
Which, we both are huge Bottle Logic fans, but I feel like you don't need to tell people to support Bottle Logic.
Exactly.
But Stereo, which is just miles away from Bottle Logic.
Yeah, and easy.
It's a lot smaller, but freaking amazing beers. And I was going to do a throwback to anybody who's like maybe just joined us or something, but it actually reminded me this beer because this was, 8.3%, but it didn't have that alcohol. It hid the alcohol well. That 8.3% like shine through, and that's what reminded me of. That's kind of I've been thinking of Robot. Ever since we had that one because I was like, man, that was a really good beer that we had. What about Ben?
My favorite was Full Centrics.
Shocker.
Humble Sea. Whatever. I mean, I've
got
got one in my fridge that I don't want to drink because I'm saving it, but it's a hazy IPA, so you shouldn't really save hazy IPAs. But I loved it. It was so good, really well balanced, totally unexpected, because we got that for our festival, which was insane. To be able to get one of their super limited release triple, that was stupid. But it was so good. I'm definitely on the hazy train right now. I love hazies. Yeah, you do. My OG love, of course, is still stouts, dark beer. But if I'm drinking something on a Wednesday night, and it's probably going to be like a hazy IPA, honestly, because I can put down 3 of those. Whereas if I'm drinking a Bottle Logic, I'm going to savor this and enjoy it over time. That's kind of what I was getting at here.
There he goes. And then while we drink this, let's talk, and then we're going to get to what your favorite was. There it is, folks. Fundamental observation.
I almost pulled out fundamental forces for us, but then I realized I only had 4 of those.
Only 4.
See, my first introduction to you was the Advent calendar. So I was like, dude, this dude loves German beers. Wow. This guy's just out there with those German lagers. And because I just started following, so I didn't know.
I stopped doing it. My wife was like, nobody wants to hear your pronunciation of German words. Nobody cares as much about the beer. Just stop doing it. And I was like, fine, I'll stop. And then I didn't do any more.
I followed a few people that were doing that.
I really liked those.
I liked it. There was a few people that were doing them, and yours are really good.
Well, thank you.
I like the way. I also really like the way that you did it because you pulled it out and then you put it in the fridge and then you had to wait for 4 hours until you actually opened it up. And there were several days where I was like, I just want to see what the hell this beer is, but now I have to wait until 9 o'clock or whenever you open it. And I thought that was a smart, I'm a marketer, my day job is in digital marketing. And so from a marketing perspective, I was like, I like that. That's cool.
And my wife said it was stupid. So, hey, look
Sorry,
at that.
Jen.
Sorry, Jen.
Sorry, Jen.
What is that? Man, that is a common phrase. We should just put that on our business cards.
Sorry, Jen.
Last Craft Beer Festival. Sorry, Jen. Because that is a common phrase that happens over here.
This is magical. This is magical. Wow.
And this is one of the years that I feel like the barrel shines through really nicely. You can kind of get a little bit
balanced. The balance on the nose for a bourbon barrel aged beer is just vanilla. You get a little roasty, chocolatey type of thing, but that barrel character is just super mellow and just it's cohesive. It flows throughout in a way that just feels very natural.
And you know what the scary thing is? The way this beer smells is the way their barrel house smells.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like when we go to film there, sometimes we get to do it in the barrel house where they've got all their barrel aged beers just aging, rows and rows and racks of it. And the whole warehouse smells like this beer, where you're getting that uh, mellow tones of like oak and kind of like this earthiness and
Charred barrels.
yeah, like burnt wood and vanilla and caramel. And a lot of these notes, they come straight out of the barrel. I mean, yeah, they do put a shit ton of vanilla in there, but
I do feel like the vanilla's falling off.
I mean, I expected it to at this
Of
point.
course, yeah, it's about that time, but
Oh yeah,
it's got that Madagascar vanilla. I know they've even taken trips now. They're really getting to their
yeah,
vanilla.
they are really good.
Because this beer is basically what put them on the map. Although I would like to think it's Logarithm, because that's the beer that won them awards and made them kind of
noteworthy, especially in the beer industry. Let's say.
Yeah. But yeah, they straight up take trips. Like the brew team will go down and like look at the latest vanilla bean harvest down somewhere to get the right stuff.
Which they got a lot of flack for the vanilla this year, because it wasn't the vanilla extract flavor that people wanted.
Yeah,
It wasn't marshmallows. It wasn't that artificial vanilla. They went and got like a specific harvest of vanilla, and it had like this crazy, almost like blueberry characteristic to it. No blueberry in the beer at all, but it had like this kind of fruity note to it, and people were like, "Oh, what's going on? This is not fundamental observation." and
we talked about this. I don't know if we left it in the interview that I did with them. It's hard, like the memory of beer. It's hard.
Oh, for sure.
For people, you put something to your lips and it tastes amazing. Those synapses fire, get all that serotonin flowing in your brain, and then 3 years later, you have the newest release of said beer that made all these endorphins going through your bodies, and now you're like, I'm not getting that. It's almost like you're like chasing that beer high. You're like, oh man, I'm not getting that. And I think that happens a lot in the beer on the consumer side, where it's hard to consistently make people happy, which, as much, I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but as much as everyone hates on Budweiser, Pabst Blue Ribbon, and all those guys, like, the weird part is that they've actually been around long enough and be able to make a consistent product that enough people are convinced that they like. Hashtag my wife hates it. So do I. But anyways, it's hard to overcome those almost like childhood memories. You know, you're going to get to experience that with. Wait, do you already have a kid, or is it your first kid?
First kid.
First kid. You're going to get to experience that, like reliving your childhood via or through your child, and that's, you can't really do that with beer, right? You can't like, I'm going to drink this beer and it's going to be the same thing as it always has been, right? And it's hard for like I said, it's hard for breweries to continue to meet that expectation, because things like hops change seasonally, vanilla changes seasonally. Like, you can go back and get the same thing, but if that vanilla batch sat an extra day or two because the guy didn't come pick it up, it's going to change every taste.
Also, like, just your emotional state at that time. If you're having a really shitty day versus like an awesome day, that beer is going to lean you one way or another. And if you go back and visit it and you're like, man, I was having a really shitty day, but this beer I drank like lifted my spirits.
This is lifting my spirits.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of the reason why even I'm not really doing like, I used to do a series of videos called Uncanned, which is like a short form 4 to 5 minute long beer review from start to finish of one beer. And through the process, when I'm filming it and producing it, everything myself, right? So it's like you're going through this process of like, okay, camera's on, got to do it, got to catch this, got to actually produce the content. And there were certain times where I'd turn off the camera, I'd have 3/4 of the beer left, and then I'd sip it, and then I'd be like, wait, I feel differently about this beer now than I did 15 minutes ago when it was slightly cooler, when I was in a rush to get something out of my brain. And like, I was like, I'm not doing this beer the best service by trying to capture one moment in time. And so that's why I started doing these like longer form, like 45-minute long tastings of multiple beers, because I can go through and have context across different styles of one brewery or different breweries. And then I can go back after it's sat there for 20, 30 minutes and try it again and be like, did I really not like that? Or what's happening with it now? So I think that you're absolutely right that like context is king for beer, especially when you're talking about beer from a brewery that has had hype, that have high expectations. I mean, anything with hype is going to incur some amount of variance and criticism of it, no matter what comes out. I mean, like we look at TV, like Game of Thrones and like all that stuff, where it's like, you know, these guys are creative people and they're executing like large scale productions, and you know, there's nothing fundamentally different about like one episode or one season to the next, but the way that people experience them, and then once that chatter starts happening and how that influences other people, like that all is like the context of the game. And that's personally a reason why I don't play with Untapped. I mean, I'm also just uninterested in Untapped in general, but I mean, I just think that there's a little bit of an echo chamber, that there's a little bit of a first impression bias and confirmation bias that occurs in the feed.
You're checking into something and it's rated 4.25. If you rate it a 2.75, you're like, did I miss something? Like, what's going on here? So I feel like absolutely, it's like, okay, well, I feel obligated if everybody else is giving it 4.25. I guess the lowest I should give it is like 3.75.
That's true.
Even though you hated the beer and you would have given it a 2. So you're absolutely right. But that's kind of more along the lines of why I use it as a category, categorizing, labeling.
It's great for logging your memory. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now I want to know what's your favorite from 2020 for
my
beer.
Number one. So I went through a lot of iterations of this list, and it always came back to 2 beers that were competing for that top spot. Both of them West Coast IPAs. Both of them. I mean, this is an LA brewed list.
And the camera, I'm giving you the whoop whoop sign. She loves the West Coast. Yeah.
This is an LA brewed list. So, I mean, I drink some beers outside of LA, but the vast majority is all LA, and that's all I really pay attention to. This is one beer from El Segundo Brewing and one beer from Highland Park. Both of them West Coast. Both of them hopped, majority hop with Strata. So again, coming back to Strata, once again, my number one beer is a beer called Smooth Deep Blues from El Segundo Brewing Company. And it was number one for a lot of different reasons, taste being the primary factor. But El Segundo is, I think, a special brewery to me. And this beer kicked off something called their Tone series. And I'm not sure, you guys may have seen this in some way, but it's a series they did over the latter half of 2020 that every label had like a Pantone colored, like very stark colored label, completely different from any of their other labels and artwork that they've done from other beers. And this beer dropped in August as the first of that series. And it kind of took everybody by surprise, including myself. And that was the first one. And then they since dropped 5 or 6 more, the last of which is part of our Hotbox program that's going out. And it's just a very incredible beer. West Coast, Strata, you got strawberry, you got like nice dankness on it, you got nice grassiness on it, a little bit of tropical fruit to round it all out, a little bit of bitterness, nothing too over the top, just a very Very nice beer, and I think what I think the next wave of West Coast IPA is kind of straddling what we traditionally think of as like a bitter bomb of West Coast IPA, and in between that on the other side you have hazy, which is a little bit more tropical, a little more juicy, a little bit softer, less bitterness. You got something in the middle there, and that's, I think, between West Coast and hazy, and I've been calling it hybrid hazy. The guys up at Cellar Maker are calling it West Coast hazy. Not saying that the El Segundo one was a hazy, but it had the flavor profile, a lot of the characteristics that we're seeing in these like beers that have moderate bitterness, like 40 to 80 IBUs, that have a nice juicy, there's some tropical component, there's a fruity component to it. So it's got like some of the best that you really like on the hazy side, but it's also got some of the best of what you like on the West Coast side, and it balances the shit out of the two. So that's what I think is like, that's what I'm loving right now. That's what I think like some of the future of like, where these two styles kind of meet in the middle. And I'm sure you guys can think back to some beers that you kind of like had that were in that vein, and you're like, is this West Coast? Is this hazy? That's I think where we're all going towards, is that,
Dope. Love it. Jen showed us the artwork from the label too, and it's like super clean and like the Redux version of their typical label, I would say.
Yeah.
Like that stark kind of one tone with the El Segundo at the bottom, and it looks pretty. It gives it almost like I don't want to say VIP, but like it's different. It's special, upscale. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Totally.
Which probably exactly what they were going for, was like, hey guys, we're doing something a little bit different, and we want our visuals to reflect that. Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah, it's the Tone series from El Segundo was like the highlight of my 2020 from an LA beer perspective, and that beer just stuck up at the number one spot. So I bet they'll bring it back because it was loved by a lot of people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. We made it through all the beer.
We did.
We did it.
We're 8 minutes short of 2 hours, which, hey, good times, guys.
I feel like I'm ready to wrap this up.
Cool.
I mean, I hope everybody enjoyed it. This has been recorded, so obviously you'll be able to revisit this later.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom, for tuning in.
Hooray!
Classic.
Hey, thank you for sharing this, guys. This is a really special beer.
Hey,
we didn't really get too deep into it, but I think that just like if you've had FO, that this is like exactly where you want it to be. It's incredibly well balanced. So I really appreciate you guys sharing it.
If you
and this is my favorite of our mini beer festival right here.
Yeah.
The Aero Lodge and the Beer Zombie collab. Doomsday. Oh, God, this is amazing.
God, you sounded Canadian.
I'm definitely good. Well, I mean, it definitely had like that maple syrup kind of like those notes. So okay. Anyway, hey, Gary, thanks for having us and hanging out with us and doing a beer share on pretty short notice. But we're glad we're hanging out with you here and hoping we can do some more fun stuff with you in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great hanging out with you guys. I love what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And I absolutely see, the opportunities for us to continue supporting each other's missions into the future because, there's some overlined values here that, we got to band together,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that's us signing off. Enjoy craft beer, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.
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 I poured some beer.
Virtual cheers across the internet.
I didn't want to have an empty glass, so
cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys.